In the foothills of the Himalayas, nestled amidst the verdant plains of ancient India, lay the Shakya kingdom. It was here in the 6th century BCE that a prince named Siddhartha Gautama was born. His father, King Suddhodana, ruled with wisdom and compassion. His mother, Queen Maya, was renowned for her grace and piety. Siddhartha's birth was a joyous occasion marked by auspicious signs and celestial wonders. Sages and seers from far and wide flocked to the palace, eager to lay eyes upon the newborn prince. Among them was the venerable Asita, a renowned sage known for his profound wisdom. Asita examined the infant prince with great care, his aged eyes twinkling with a mixture of awe and foreboding. He observed the 32 marks of a great man upon Siddhartha's body, signs that foretold a destiny of extraordinary significance. A hush fell over the assembled courtiers as Asita made his prophecy. He declared that Siddhartha possessed the potential to become either a mighty Chakravartin, a universal monarch who would conquer the world, or a Buddha, an enlightened being who would illuminate the path to liberation from suffering. King Suddhodana, filled with ambition for his son, rejoiced at the prospect of Siddhartha becoming a powerful ruler. He resolved to shield Siddhartha from the harsh realities of life, hoping to steer him towards a life of worldly power and glory. Queen Maya, however, harbored a secret premonition. She sensed that her son's destiny lay not in the realm of earthly dominion, but in the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment. Her intuition proved tragically accurate, for just 7 days after Siddhartha's birth, she fell gravely ill and passed away. The king, overcome with grief, sought solace in showering his son with every imaginable luxury and indulgence. Siddhartha grew up in opulent palaces, surrounded by attendants who catered to his every whim. He received the finest education, mastering the arts, sciences, and martial skills of his time. The king, determined to shield his son from any exposure to suffering or hardship, created a world of perpetual springtime within the palace walls. Gardens overflowed with fragrant blooms, musicians played soothing melodies, and beautiful dancers entertained him with their graceful movements. Siddhartha was a bright and inquisitive child, excelling in all his studies. Yet, despite the lavishness that surrounded him, a nagging sense of dissatisfaction began to stir within him. The king's attempts to confine Siddhartha to a world of pleasure only served to heighten his curiosity about the world beyond the palace walls. He yearned to experience life in its raw and unfiltered form, to understand the true nature of human existence. One day, unable to resist the call of the unknown any longer, Siddhartha persuaded his charioteer Channa to take him on a series of excursions beyond the palace gates. It was during these clandestine journeys that the sheltered prince encountered the harsh realities of life that his father had so desperately tried to conceal from him. The first sight that pierced Siddhartha's sheltered bubble was that of an old man. His body stooped and withered, his skin wrinkled and etched with the passage of time. The prince, accustomed to the vigor and vitality of youth, was struck by the fragility of human life. The second sight was even more unsettling. He encountered a sick man, his body racked with pain, his face contorted in agony. Siddhartha, who had never experienced illness or discomfort, was confronted with the universality of suffering. The third sight shook him to his core. He came across a funeral procession, the mourners wailing in grief as they carried the lifeless body of a loved one. Death, the inevitable end that awaited all beings, became a stark reality for the young prince. These encounters with old age, sickness, and death shattered Siddhartha's illusions of a world filled only with pleasure and beauty. They awakened within him a profound sense of disquietude, a longing to understand the nature of suffering and the possibility of liberation from it. The fourth and final sight provided a glimmer of hope amidst the despair. Siddhartha encountered a wandering ascetic, his demeanor serene and composed, his eyes radiating an inner peace that transcended the hardships of the material world. Intrigued by the ascetic's detachment from worldly possessions and his quest for spiritual liberation, Siddhartha resolved to embark on a similar path. Section 4. Renunciation, the path less traveled. The sight of the wandering ascetic ignited a spark within Siddhartha, a yearning for something more meaningful than the ephemeral pleasures of his princely life. That night, as he lay upon his luxurious bed, surrounded by all the comforts his father could provide, Siddhartha made a momentous decision. He resolved to renounce his royal life and embark on a spiritual quest to find the truth about suffering and the path to its cessation. Quietly under the cover of darkness, Siddhartha bid farewell to his sleeping wife and newborn son. He instructed Channa, his faithful charioteer, to saddle his favorite horse, Kanthaka, and together they slipped out of the palace and into the night. As they rode through the silent streets, Siddhartha felt a surge of both trepidation and exhilaration. He was leaving behind a life of privilege and comfort, but he was also breaking free from the gilded cage that had imprisoned his spirit. Upon reaching the edge of the forest, Siddhartha dismounted from Kanthaka and removed his princely robes and ornaments. He exchanged his fine garments for the simple robes of an ascetic, symbolizing his detachment from material possessions and his commitment to the spiritual path. With a heavy heart but a resolute spirit, Siddhartha turned his back on his former life and disappeared into the forest, embracing the unknown with unwavering determination. Section 5, The Middle Way, A Balanced Approach. For 6 long years, Siddhartha dedicated himself to the most rigorous ascetic practices, seeking enlightenment through the denial of his physical needs and desires. He studied under renowned teachers, mastering various techniques of meditation and mental discipline. He pushed his body to its absolute limits, subjecting himself to extreme fasting, sleep deprivation, and self-mortification. Yet, despite his unwavering efforts, true enlightenment remained elusive. Siddhartha's body grew emaciated, his once robust physique now skeletal and weak. He realized that his pursuit of liberation through self-denial had led him to another extreme, one that was just as unsustainable and ultimately unfulfilling as his former life of indulgence. It was during this period of intense introspection that Siddhartha came to a profound realization. He recognized that the path to enlightenment lay not in the extremes of self-indulgence or self-mortification, but in a balanced approach, a middle way that avoided both extremes. He resolved to nourish his body while continuing his meditation practice, seeking a path that integrated both physical and spiritual well-being.